Alright, in this lecture, we're gonna take this image of these two apples and we're gonna draw them using only values. So we'll draw a really light outline, which will be our contouring lines, but then after that, everything else is just gonna be straight up value. No contour lines or anything else. We just want to use complete straight value so that we can start to learn how to observe from real life and copy it the way exactly how we see it. So let's go ahead and get started. Now we're only going to be doing one of these apples. It's going to be the one on the left, and I'll leave this image after this lecture in the next lecture where you'll be able to download it for your own use. So let's go ahead and get started. So like I said, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the contouring line. And by the way, this is sped up by 2 times just so it doesn't take as long. And you want to keep your contour line really light. That way you can go back and erase areas if you need to. And you just want to sketch in that basic form in there and then start adding in shadow and highlight. So then right here you see I'm adding in the contour line for my stem. And this edge right here was a little bit too small, so I had to erase it and bring it out a little bit further. And then I need to decide where my cast shadow is going to be. So I first start off by really lightly adding in where the bulk of my shadow is going to be. And you always want to make sure that you start off lightly and then progressively get darker and darker as you go along. This way, if you need to make changes along the way, you can always erase, but if you push too hard at the beginning, it's going to be really hard to erase later. And like I said in the very beginning of this course, you always want to be looking at your reference more than you look at your actual drawing. So you can't actually see where my head is looking, but probably more than about 50% of the time, I'm actually looking at my image of the apple rather than my drawing. Because all the information you need is on the apple. It's not on your drawing, it's on the apple. So if you don't know how dark it is in a certain area, you just look up and look at your picture of the apple, and then you do the same thing you see in that image. It's all about observation. So now I basically have all of my shadows blocked in there. The next step is to really start solidifying that and adding in more detail with my values. And you'll notice that I'm leaving out these 2 light spots in the center of my apple, and those are reflections. And then I'm going to add a dark line on that edge and this edge because that's what I see in the image. You're not always going to have a dark edge around your object, but if that's what's in the image, then that's what you got to do. And then I'm going to start adding in my cast shadow. And again, even with my cast shadow, I'm staying pretty low.